In the studio, so with us, John McTernan and Alys Denby. John, what did you make of that in terms of the strategy that Starmer's using to say this is divisive? And what Lucy will say is, well, let's talk about delivery. She says we're delivering, they're not.
No, I mean, we're in opposition, we can't deliver anything. If we want to talk about delivery, I noticed Lucy didn't mention the NHS. Waiting lists are going to go over 8 million by the summer. People who are trying to get access to a GP will wonder what she's talking about. When she says the country is fine, and Keir is not running down the UK to say young people can't buy a house. It's not running down the UK to point to real problems in the railways. It's actually... It's interesting the government wants to deny there's real problems. It'd be far more interesting if she said, yes, actually, there are some things that are going on, and that's why we've got a plan to fix them.
Alys, welcome, and both of you, welcome. Sorry for the delay there. One of the things about this story that Rosie brought up, Starmer defends national trust against Tory claims of wokery, to me is a dividing line. But I said something earlier, and I want to put to both of you. You as well, John. Alistair Campbell, our editor Lucy, was saying that he'd said in the last couple of days that when he was Blair's man, Blair was on the front page of every single newspaper. Now, at the moment, if he sneezes, Sunak is there. Starmer, I'm not having a go, John, but I'm telling you, is about as interesting as that newspaper, and even that documentary did nothing. Is this a deliberate attempt by the Labour Party, by the spin doctors, to put him front and centre and go against things that he think will generate people's interest?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if we want to talk about what's divisive and damaging, it is that sort of woke ideology that has gripped many of our institutions, that wants to apologise for our history, that wants to constantly talk about slavery and you know, the immorality of the past, rather than doing its job, which is preserving stately houses. And I think he is using this to kind of foment and whip up a culture war. And I think what's very frustrating is
despite the fact that he says the Tory party are doing that by using it.
Exactly. It's like the problem with the culture war is that only one side thinks it's waging it, right? So, like, it is divisive to be constantly trying to do down our history. And frankly, I think he's just trying to whip
And, John,
up.
people do feel what she's just said. You have to acknowledge that.
We should apologise for our history. Britain's history is terrible.
Britain's history
Our
is nuanced.
colonialist, imperialist history should be apologised for. There should be reparations.
Where do you start that argument?
Where do I start that argument? Because you look at what Britain has done across the world.
Is that what the Labour Party?
No, that's my view. That's actually my view. I'm a woke warrior in that sense, right?
Talk to her. A woke against an anti-woke. This is going to be fun.
Alys, isn't this actually the problem? We have now started to have a conversation about the National Trust.
Yeah.
The National Trust are not going to be making any policies. We're not voting for them. We are voting for one of the main political any political party that's on the ballot box in your constituency. So maybe Keir Starmer is right when he says this is divisive, because it's taken about 30 seconds for us to have an argument about what the National Trust should be doing rather than policy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's particularly bizarre about him picking on the National Trust is that actually this movement is coming from within the National Trust itself. There's a lot of dissatisfaction among its members with
But we're still talking about the National Trust.
They keep losing. The people who want to change the National Trust keep losing the ballots, and that's democracy. 6 million members, I'm one of them, and we vote against these people. And just to pick up what you said, I'm in favour of virtue signalling because I'm against vice signalling. I don't want a country full of people going, I've committed a crime,
but
that's great.
No, I accept that, but you also sit there and you say that the policy, in fact, but just very quickly, I know we're in a hurry. So one of the arguments against the police nowadays, which I think is relevant, and I interviewed an 84-year-old woman 2 weeks ago who had been burgled in her own house and phoned the police and nobody turned up.
No.
But in the same town, John McTernan, when somebody was called something they didn't like and it was a hate crime and their pronouns were announced wrong, 15 police officers turned up. Now, that is why people get angry. Virtue signalling in that instance. What about that old lady who's paid her tax all her life?
People get
not a police officer.
People get angry because the cops are useless. They don't do their job.
Because they're more interested in woke... Because
they're really badly managed and they stop young people and they harass young
So they'll
people
go
the
15 of them round to somebody who's apparently somebody's upset them with the phrase, but they'll ignore the lady. No burglars
The cops are useless from top to bottom. I think the public are right to see that. The Metropolitan Police Service need to be refounded. They employ rapists.
I don't think
and then they attack women who are demonstrating against it. They bat and charge women who are demonstrating against the murder of a woman.
I completely agree.
That's where the loss of faith comes from.
Yeah.
Absolutely not doing your job. Not going around to an old woman who's been burgled.
If you were Blair, you know the Campbell thing that I said, he's doing the right thing getting on the front page of this stuff, right?
yeah, driving the conversation is the right thing to do. But you saw with Lucy Fraser the difficulty she had, which is like, we've got a plan. They're trying to make plan or no plan a dividing line. The thing is, if you've got the wrong plan, a plan that's not working, the plan for the NHS isn't working, it can't be a dividing line. You're going like, we've got a plan for the NHS. What is it? Oh, it's not working. But we are the government. We've got a plan.
It's an interesting point. John, Alys, thank you
Oh,
both
I wish you could have been here longer. Sorry, guys.
So much.